The Browns knocked off the Jags 31-27. They improved to 8-5 on the year. They take a bit of a stranglehold, at least on holding on to some playoff spots, but all around a really good win on a lot of different fronts, right? The offense scored 31 points. The defense forced 4 takeaways. Myles Garrett sort of got back into the swing of things, came up with a huge stop on that 2-point conversion, which was maybe the dumbest 2-point conversion I've ever seen in the NFL. But ultimately, Week 14 was changed at the top right now. Browns over the Jags, 31-27, as Joe Flacco might be the biggest story of the game. 26 of 45, 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. David Njoku came up with 2 huge touchdowns early in the game, each of which proved to be a difference maker. 6 grabs, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, I don't look at that 27 and think, oh, the Jags offense was great today. They kind of got it rolling towards the end, but ultimately they had nothing going for much of this game. This Browns defense, despite not having Denzel Ward, the secondary was flying. Martin Emerson came up with 2 picks. Greg Newsome came up with a pick. Grant Delpit, unfortunately, did get injured, and I'll look for an injury update on that. But the Browns defense, after a tough road trip, we'll say, they showed a lot of fight back and a lot of resiliency. And if there are a couple big takeaways from this game, here they are. Number 1, Joe Flacco is your undoubted starting quarterback moving forward. I don't think that was really up for debate after his performance in LA, to be honest with you. But after what I saw today, there is no way you can tell me this offense is better with Dorian Thompson-Robinson at the helm. You can keep rolling with a couple of design plays for DTR, but Joe Flacco, without a question in my mind, is this team's starting quarterback for the rest of the season. Number 2, Kevin Stefanski continues to be one of the most resilient coaches in the NFL. I mean, his record after a loss is extremely impressive, right? Losses do not phase this team in this locker room. They do not turtle up and go, uh-oh, we're SOL. That's the season, boys. Wrap it up. No. 2-game losing streak on the road, come back at home, knock off a playoff team like Jacksonville with felt like ease, to be honest with you. Like this scoreboard of 31-27 is not accurate. Sorry, that's the halftime scores right there. But we'll look at some other stats here in just a moment. Ultimately, I loved what I saw out of the Browns today, though. Now, a big news item that came out before the game was Grant Delpit's contract extension. So I want to get your grades on that really quickly. A, B, C, D, or F. I love the Grant Delpit contract extension. I would have given it an A- grade. The only reason why I'm not giving it an A or A+ grade is because I wish it was for, and fix that week 13 at the top, is I wish it was for more than 3 years, 4 or 5 years. But Grant Delpit inks a 3-year, $36 million contract extension before the game, $12 million a season. Would you rather have Grant Delpit on your team or on another team? For me, it's easy, on the Browns. So, other injury news, though, as I kind of scrub through Twitter here, looking for updates from Kevin Stefanski. The Browns did lose Ethan Posick during the game with an injury. He did not return. That caused Nick Harris to fill in at center. We saw Grant Delpit leave with a groin injury. Did not see him return. We got some Ronnie Bell and Ronnie Hickman sightings. Zadarius Smith suffered an injury in the game. Unfortunately, injuries continue to be the ultimate plague for this team. Fingers crossed that none of those guys suffered long-term injuries. I was surprised that Denzel Ward did not play. 3rd straight game he missed with a shoulder injury. But unfortunately, that's been the story of the 2023 Browns. Now, before we get on to the rest of my post-game reaction, I do want to tell everyone about our awesome sponsor for today's show, Prize Picks. Thanks to Prize Picks, I've had an absolute blast watching football and basketball this season, taking 2 to 6 player stat projections, selecting more or less on those stat projections, and the more players you select, the more potential winnings are out there. So take Sunday Night Football, for example. I'm taking the more on Dak Prescott, the less on Jalen Hurts' passing yards, the more on Dak's passing yards, more on Tony Pollard's receiving yards, and then the more on DeAndre Swift plus Brandon Cooks, more than half a touchdown. I love how Prize Picks does player combinations like that. You don't need just one guy to score a touchdown, just need 1 or 2 guys to score a touchdown. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100. That link is in the comments and description of today's video. All right, moving on to some other stats here. David Njoku emerging as a go-to guy for Joe Flacco. But then again, when you throw the ball 40 or more times, everyone's going to get a lot of targets and receptions. But Njoku, 6 grabs, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. We also clap it up for David Bell. First career touchdown reception, 41-yard walk-in score. Amari Cooper didn't maybe have his tip-top game, I would say. Unfortunately, that fumble was very uncharacteristic of him. But still, if a bad day for Amari Cooper is 7 grabs for 77 yards, we're doing all right, I would say. Now, Kareem Hunt on the ground, this ground game has some things to work on. And unfortunately, when you're in Week 14, there's no one walking through the door to save you. So it's up to Coach Stump, Coach Callahan, and the rest of the personnel to get together this week and figure out why the Browns are rushing the ball 10 times for 27 yards, less than 3 yards a carry for Kareem Hunt. And then Jerome Ford, who had 12 carries for 51 yards, he got that 26-yard run from him, 11 carries for 25-ish yards, again, averaging under 3 yards a carry. So the ground game definitely has to be better. But the good news for Kevin Stefanski is he's got a quarterback who's a veteran that he can trust to make smart throws on third downs and whatnot. Now, Trevor Lawrence and Joe Flacco duel today, 26 for 45, 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I'm just going to say this. Joe Flacco has this offense playing better than what we have seen since 2020, I would say. It's a very small sample. It's 2 games. I'm definitely probably overreacting a little bit. But how can you not be in love with 300-yard performance when the Browns have not had a quarterback throw for 300 yards in a long time, right? Deshaun Watson did not do it any time this season. I don't remember if Deshaun Watson did it in a game last season. So we got to go back to maybe Jacoby Brissett doing it a season ago, but I don't really remember that. And then you go back to the Baker days. So Joe Flacco, he's kicking ass. He's taking names. I know that there are going to be some people out there going, and I can't believe the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson. Joe Flacco's doing way better. Yeah, give credit to Flacco. He is kicking ass right now. Now, I definitely want to see this over more than just a 2-game sample size to go, he's better than Deshaun Watson. I think that's a bit of an overreaction just 2 games into the Joe Flacco experience. But I'm going to enjoy the highs right now. I don't have to answer to anyone. I enjoy the hell out of Joe Flacco throwing the pigskin everywhere for big gains. Hopefully that continues to grow through the rest of the season. But Joe Flacco, seal of approval, stamped by me. Now, really quickly, I do want to remind everyone, we are trying to reach 30,000 subscribers before Christmas, and we are less than 400 subs away. So help us out, get to that number by the end of the week. Hit the sub button down below if you have not already. Trevor Lawrence, man, you probably didn't think in his 6-day return from a high ankle sprain they'd ask him to throw it 50 times. Only completed a little over 50% of those passes for 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Those are some empty stats at the end of the game. The Trevor Lawrence we saw throughout the game was a guy that was not looking like he was going to get to 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. But give credit to Jim Schwartz and this Browns defense. Like I said at the beginning of the video, tough road stretch, going to Denver, going to LA, being embarrassed in a lot of ways, and coming back home and, really putting your foot down Jacksonville's mouth, forcing 4 takeaways. Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome without Denzel Ward played their best ball the entire season, I would say. Hopefully they get healthy on defense with Grant Delpit and Darius Smith. Looking for updates on that right now. Do not have one at the moment. But ultimately, the Browns improved to 8-5, and they are 1 win away, in my opinion, from being pretty confident in the playoff picture. Now I would say a lock, but at 9 wins, we saw the Dolphins get the 7th seed last year with 9 wins. We also saw the Steelers be left out with a 9-win season. But ultimately, I think 9 wins will at least get you the 7th seed, especially after Indianapolis lost and Houston lost today. So a lot of the other contending wildcard teams lost. And if you get to 10 wins, that might be enough to get the 5 seed and have a rematch with Jacksonville in the first round of the playoffs down in Duval County. So if you enjoyed the win, spam W down in the comment section. Let's go, Brownies. 8-5. What a resilient locker room. What a locker room that refuses to give up. Every single time you feel like this locker room is every single team, every single reason to go, we're done. We're on to our 4th starting quarterback. let's just pack it up and call it a season. No, they bounce back and they kick the shit out of a playoff team, in my opinion. All right, that's going to do it for us on this post-game show. Subscribe to the channel. Help your boy out. Help us grow. And hit that sub button down below if you have not already.